Ladies and gentlemen, bonjour and welcome at La Table Ronde, TVC 22's political show. As you all know, I'm sure you all know, we are in the middle of a municipal campaign in Clarence-Rockland, as if the rest of the province of Ontario. So today I have the pleasure of presenting to you the councillor for Ward 8 and also the candidate for Ward 8. And I am therefore presenting you to Diane Choinière. Bonjour, Diane.
Nice to be here today.
Good. So Diane, you've been on council now for 8 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. A lot of people know the face, not necessarily the person. And therefore, I would invite you to tell us who you are, where you work, are you a mother, are you a grandmother, what kind of involvement have you had in the community and elsewhere in your life, so that we know who Diane Choinière is other than just a face that we see at council.
Well, first of all, I am a mother. I'm a mother of 4 children. The youngest one is 21 years old, and the oldest one is over 35. And I'm also grandmother of three grandchildren, 2 granddaughters of 10 and 11, and a 3-year-old who happens to live with me. I'm really very fortunate because I get to see him every day, and with my daughter as well. So, I'm also a teacher. I teach from grade 9 to 12. I've been working in various files. I've been initiating many programs at the school board level. The children with learning disabilities, the gifted program, the immigrant programs, the dropout program. So I've always been involved in starting up new programs to better serve the students, to meet the new needs, and with the students.
Okay.
And I also work in the field of investments. I also worked in the legal department of a large company. And also I worked for about 10 years with the Council of Ministers of Education. So I worked at the national level for education on specific files that are common to various provinces, like the second language monitors program, where they send university students to communicate in French schools in English. So to do some activities to promote the English in French schools, and the other way around in Quebec would be the opposite to monitors. So it allows the students, university students, to have some funding to pay for their schooling. At the same time, they acquire some experience in high schools and elementary schools, so which is a win-win.
Okay.
And that's and I'm currently teaching grade 9 to 12 I'm currently with the new immigrants program.
Okay, and I believe you've developed some programs for the Ministry of Education, and you've also did some training to teachers so that they can adapt these programs.
Yes, what I do usually is I start a program, and then once it works well, and it's we offer some support, to the other schools so that it's implemented in the other schools as well. So I like starting new programs. I like I'm a problem solver, so I like being presented with a challenge and make it work, and build a team, and then and work together, and make the programs advance, because the needs change. Our teenagers face a lot of difficulties that we did not face in our times. And so we need to be proactive in education. We need to be, because I'll tell you, one change takes a long time to happen in education. It's a very slow process. So that's why we need to really foresee what's out there and what the need is. We need to keep our youth in school as long as we can. It's very important, because when the young adults are educated, they understand better their environment, they deal better with people, they communicate better, they're happier. So it's very important that we want all the students to have the grade 12 minimum. We don't want anybody to drop out.
Yeah, I think our grade 12 is probably a BA today.
Yes, it's funny you say that because even some courses I took in economics are not taught in grade 11 and 12, you know, and I did it in university. So it's, yeah, defensively, you know, the more exposed. So, and there's a lot of things that doesn't need to be taught that, you know, that students learn now with the media.
Right.
And so we can implement more specific skills that people need now. And yeah.
Okay. Well, I believe you've been involved in the community everywhere you've been as well.
Oh, everywhere I've been. I remember when I was in Toronto, I had 3 young kids at the time, and I even started the Mom and Tots program. And I remember going to the City Hall and asking if we could have a room in a community center in the area where I lived. And I was told that because we were not immigrants, that we didn't have access to the budget allocated for immigrants.
Okay.
So I said, okay, but is there some funding for French people, because you know it's the official language in Canada.
Right.
And finally I had to fight it. So we set up a committee of about 5 women, and then we prepared our and we went to the council and we presented our request and everything, and it worked. And we had a special program, and it's still on today in Toronto. So that was a nice accomplishment. It was because in Toronto it was very important. Like the kids were not exposed to French unless they were at school itself. But you know, the minute they were at home, out in the street, it was multicultural. So they were probably the only ones speaking only 2 languages. Like all the other children spoke 4, 5, 6 languages. So it was at least that, you know, to me, what the least that they could do, it was at least to speak both languages.
Okay. But you've moved around a lot. So how long have you been in Bourget?
Well, I've been in Bourget for 15 years, and before that I was in Ottawa for, I think, 3 years, 1 to 3 years, I don't remember. And then I was in Toronto about 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's almost 2020. 20 years.
And in Bourget, you got involved in the community as well before deciding to run for council.
Yes. I chose Bourget because I like Bourget. I like maybe because I was in Toronto for 20 years and I needed a space more quiet. Okay. And I wanted to raise my younger one in a more quiet environment as well. And so I've been living there for 15 years and I love it. I really love the village. Yeah.
Have you been involved in things in Bourget?
Oh yeah, like I've been involved in when there are committees, you know, I get involved so that to see how I can help as the city councillor too. And anything like they usually invite me, you know, when they have the annual meeting.
Right.
So this is when they present what their goals are for the year, and it's a good occasion for me to really promote and tell them, oh, if this is how we could help you, and this is what you need to prepare for it, and so on. So it's a really we need to work together. Yeah. Yes, defensively, and knowing ahead of time, it gives me time also to prepare the ground with the council.
Okay. After 8 years, why do you still want to return to council?
Well, because I find that the first 4 years is really a preparation. You know, it takes at least 4 years to really understand the chemistry, the understand, you know, who is in charge of what, and what the budget, where is the biggest bunch of expenses, you know, and what is available and what is not, and also the process, you know, how do we go about when we want to make some request. So, and what can be done and what cannot be done. So the first years were really a learning process. But then the second term, I was actually, finally, things were happening, you know, like a lot of things that were initiated, but it takes some time. Finally, you know, things come up, like we're going to have the fire hall, we're going to have the station, train station now, you know, there's something will be done with it. We have so many roads have been done over the last 4 years, 8 years actually. And so it's all the reason, like there are so many projects that are on the, that have took so long to prepare, to bring to term, and now it's happening. So it's important to start initiating other new programs and other, like for example, I know that we developed the park a lot in Bourget, with the splash pad, and now there's also the nice gazebo, with the changing rooms. And the next step would be like, why not have a big baseball court, and have a court that meets the requirements for competitions. Like we had the big arena in Rockland.
Right.
We could have the
baseball
field diamond, a huge one, a nice one for competitions in Bourget. And so instead of doing it everywhere, like why don't we choose the specific things for specific areas? And this is how it brings people from Rockland to go into the villages and do things, and the same people from the villages to go to Rockland and encourage the businesses there. So we need to develop that sense of belonging. We need to that
sense of community.
Yes, a sense of community at large, the whole community, and that every village, every part, every ward in Rockland has its specifications and has its assets, and we need to improve those assets, or improve the access to those assets, and make them known to everybody.
Okay, good. I don't want to start another topic because we're close to the end of the first section, so I think we're going to take a little break right now. So please stay with us. We will continue our discussion with Diane in a few seconds, and we'll look at a platform or what are some of the other things she wants to accomplish, because in the first interview I did with her a few months ago, she talked about the sewer system. So I want to know how close that is or not. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Thank you for still being with us, ladies and gentlemen. We are continuing our discussion with Diane Choinière, Councillor and candidate for Ward 8, Bourget. So Diane, a few months ago when I interviewed you, we talked about the sewer system for Bourget and what it will be like. I don't want to get into those details again, but how close is it to reality? You just mentioned just before the break that certain things take time. So yes. How far or how close is this?
Yes. Well, this is one of the files that is long term. The reason why it's long term, it's because it's very expensive.
Yes.
It's very expensive, and you remember when we wanted to have the water in Bourget? I remember a lot of people were saying, "Oh no, my water is okay. My water is okay. Like my well is good, and people thought that it would be too expensive, or if I mentioned that my water is not good, it may decrease the value of my property, and so on and so on. So at one point, the city had to make a commitment and say, hey, no, we know the water is not good. We know that many wells are not as good as, some people had invested about $40,000 in system in the basement in order to filter the water. I mean, yeah, of course they have good water, but at the cost of $40,000, when they need to replace that, it's going to be another expense.
And more expensive than the first time.
That's right. So that's why it was mandatory. I mean, water is priority. It's essential. The second thing that we do in the when we send our engineers, Canadian engineers, to undeveloped areas, countries, the first thing they do is they do the water and the sewers. And what they do with the sewers, they make sure that it's away enough from their wells. So it's one doesn't go without the other. It's important. We bring in water, we get rid of water. So we have to manage that as well. And the problem we have in Bourget is that the lots, the requirements to replace their existing system.
Septic tanks?
The septic field.
Right.
The septic field, they don't have the room anymore. Now it has to be bigger. So by being bigger, but the lot doesn't allow that. So it's at the end of their life. A lot of all the heart of the village, like their septic field is like over 45 years old. So it's a matter of if there's a time where people will wish to connect to a sewer system, a communal sewer system, will be now. you know,
Okay.
and we have a lot of we lost a lot of businesses because we don't have sewers. It's so expensive. Like if they have to have their septic tank emptied 3 times a day, can you imagine that $300 every time? So it's very expensive. So it's hard to operate a business because of that. So the first thing we did is the first thing in my first mandate was to have an official plan for Bourget. Then having an official plan, we can start putting projects in the development charges.
Okay.
So the sewers projects was put in the development charges. So right now I think there's about $500,000 accumulated for it so far. And but these were mandatory. Those steps had to be done. So it's not, nobody sees it, but it took a lot of energy, it took a lot of fighting in order to get to that point. So finally we have that. We have the official plan, we have the development, it's in the development charges. Then we had a study done in order to see what kind of system would be appropriate. But they don't assess it for commercial use. So now we have to have another one done for commercial to see if we can have only one system that would accommodate both, the commercial and the residential. And so this is where we are now. Now it's in the work in progress. It's in the list of the work in progress. And every year we apply for grants, you know, like every year where it's possible to apply for it because this is the field that we can apply into, then we do it. But in the meantime, at least money is accumulating in the development charges. So it will happen. It will happen because it's part of the economic development plan of the municipality.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of when. But remember when I said that the other members of council have to be aware of situations everywhere in the city?
Right.
Well, now the city councilors in the other wards now are aware of the need of sewers, and they understand better that it is a need. They participate a lot in they go in activities in the villages and everything, so they're very open to the growth of our villages.
And they understand that there's not just one kind of sewers that can
That's
work.
right.
Because before, when I was hearing about sewers in Bourget, we say they have to break all those streets. Well, that's not the case.
No, now everything is done on the side of the road. It's all digged, you know, even they're doing the looping of the water right now, and it's all done in the pretty much in the ditch.
Oh, okay.
And so the road is not damaged at all. So now, and the way we work, like there are various systems, but one potential, but I mean, in 4 years there are so many new possibilities, but it's possible to have to keep the septic tank,
Right.
and then only the liquid would go through a 4-inch pipe,
Right.
and there would be pumps, and then that would bring it to a field, and a field where it's like
so therefore they could retain the field for the drainage.
And so they wouldn't feel
and
that's right. They would only keep the septic tank, and they wouldn't need the septic field anymore.
Right.
So what does that mean for growth, for development? Well, it means that the 45 acres that is all undeveloped in the middle of the village will now be able to be developed, because by having the sewers, they can reduce the size of the lots. So economically speaking, now it would be worth it for a developer to do it.
It makes sense.
Otherwise, it's not economical, because with 3/4 of an acre in the village, and you want to accommodate a lot of people in the core of the village.
Right.
And with our population getting older, like, you know, more than half of the population now is over 50 years old. So it's like we need to accommodate these people. So we need smaller houses, smaller lot, less maintenance, and people like to travel, like, you know. So they want to be able to just turn the key and leave.
Right.
So, but right now, people who want to do that in Bourget, they have to get out of Bourget. They have to leave Bourget because there's nothing, no accommodation for them right now. So, and it's sad, because when we keep the grandparents in Bourget, or in our village, in our city, when we keep the people, we bring their children. They want to be close to the grandparents, and they want the help, support for their children from the grandparents, and everybody takes care of each other, and so we bring in the family, and this is how you support the communities. That's how you support the growth the social growth of a community.
And houses being closer, it's less expensive for the city to do the maintenance that they have to do.
That's right, because
snow removal, everything else.
yeah, like the city could go and just empty all the septic tank, like just instead of cleaning the sewers, they would just clean that instead. And there would be a tax for sewers, just like you pay a tax for water.
Right.
So it's this is what they do in Canada. I went to see a project like of 900 houses, and they have 3 fields for 300 houses each, and it's they do that. They don't put the old system sewers anymore.
Okay.
They do those kind. It's very economical and also environmentally friendly.
Okay, good. Okay. I've just been given time signal, so. At the beginning of this mandate, Guy Desjardins, our mayor, I made a promise in the last campaign that in the first year there wouldn't be any tax increases. Now that we've lived through that experience, do you think that was a good thing or maybe not the best decision that council took at the time?
Well, I have a BA in economics, so with that, with the theories that I've learned, with the practical that I've gone through over the 8+ years, I don't think it's a good idea to go with 0%. It's the reason it puts too much pressure. It means that it puts pressure because how can you maintain the same level of service if the cost of living is now 2% higher, but we don't bring the taxes to 2%? So it means we need to cut somewhere.
Right.
And we need to cut, because some projects required a lot of money, but they don't anymore. So we can shift that money into other projects. But at least to maintain it, if we go a bit higher, then we can offer more services. But I think it's important to keep the level of taxes at a reasonable level, because when people buy houses, this is the first thing they look at. If they can buy a house here and they can buy a house somewhere else and the taxes are way too high, even though you try to tell them, yeah, but you've got this service and this, that won't sell. So we need to keep the taxes at a certain level. So for a few years, we need to keep them low, very low, so that because it's high. I find the taxes are high. And so we need to bring them lower, but not 0%. No, I think at minimum the cost of living to maintain the services and to have, and also it gives the challenge to the council members, because then if you just go with the cost of living, it means that, hey, you want to offer more services, we need to save somewhere. So let's see how we can manipulate the budget in such a way where we don't lose money. That this is too expensive, it's not worth for the benefits of it. So let's move the money to another project that is more significant for the people. So it's, to me...
To you, that's what should be done.
Yes.
Okay. We're unfortunately running out of time, so I'd like to invite you to talk directly to the people of Bourget and Clarence Rockland. Why not?
Well, I'm really, really happy to be your councillor right now, and I'm really hoping that I will be your councillor again next term. There's a lot of projects going on, and I really want to continue to work on what is important to you. I am your voice, and I intend to be heard and to really work with you and work with the members of the council, because it's a teamwork, and it's important that the municipality, that Bourget, grows within a growing municipality. So I hope that I will see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I hope you've enjoyed this interview with Diane Choinière, and will permit you to know her and know some of her priorities, because I'm sure she's has others, and we just haven't had time to get to it. So on that, ladies and gentlemen, remember Challenge 65. And I'm not talking age, I'm talking vote. 43%, not good enough. So talk to your family, your children, brothers, sisters, neighbors, people, if you're in social clubs, talk to them. We need to get that vote up to 65%. That's my challenge from me to you. On this, I bid you farewell, and I say to you, à la prochaine.